Hi, thank you for joining me today on Stacy Lee Beauty. My name is Stacy and I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But this week I had a bonus one that I wanted to put out, so that is why a video is going up on Saturday. I want to talk about the Revlon new Photo Ready Candid Natural Finish Anti-Pollution Foundation. So I am going to show you how this applies using a brush and also the Tati Blendiful on one side, and then do a check-in later on the video and let you know how it wears. So if that sounds interesting, keep on watching. The color I have is 150. This is made in the US with US and non-US components if you are interested. So the other day I put on some foundation from NYX and I tried it with the Tati Beauty. If you're interested in that, I will link that video up above. And then I compared it with what brush I usually use, which is the e.l.f. foundation brush. But I've also lately been using, this is the It brushes for Ulta, the seamless foundation brush. And so today I want to do one side with the brush and one side with the Tati. And so far what I've done is obviously I've moisturized and then I put on the e.l.f. Dewy Setting Mist. So let's get started. Okay, so quite a few pumps to get started, but that is what it looks like. So let's see how this goes on. And while I'm putting it on, I will talk a little bit about the history of the Revlon brand. It is smoothing on pretty good. There is a little bit of scent that I'm smelling, but it's not too bad. Actually, the company began in March 1st in 1932, but the story began much earlier than that. Yeah, this is giving a nice coverage. It's not very thick, and I wouldn't say that it is a full coverage, but it is giving a nice finish. Charles Revson, I think I'm saying that right, is the founder. And his first job, he worked in Boston. He was selling dresses, and then he worked his way up within that company. So yeah, just that amount that I got, you can see I still have some left on. And eventually he tried to tell management like how they could improve production and his ideas for advertising, and well, they didn't like that. He moved jobs to Elka, which was a nail enamel, back then it was called nail enamel, manufacturing. Okay, I need a little bit more for my forehead. But yeah, this, I will say, with the brush, it goes on very smooth, good coverage. It's very lightweight and easy to blend. And I think my color is pretty good. When I'm looking into the camera, it looks a little bit lighter than it does in person. Now for the other side of my face, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but use the Tati Blendiful. Can't remember exactly how much I put on, but about the same. I think that was about what I had. And once again, he ran into the same thing. He wanted to give improvement suggestions, and they weren't really keen on him coming in and saying how they could improve things. So when he ran into the same problems there, he decided just to go out on his own, start his own company. His brother Joseph joined him, and then he had a friend that had a background in chemistry join him as well. A friend that had the chemistry background, his name was Charles Lachman. When they decided to add an L to his last name, so it became Revlon, because his last name was Revson, so then they just changed out and added the L instead of the S, and ta-da, Revlon was born. So I will say that this is spreading on pretty good as well on this side. And it does still feel really soft when you're applying it. In case you're interested in the Blendiful, I will really be testing this out and doing full review later. That I've used everything up, but I didn't have to go back in. And it's interesting, I think that the side with the Blendiful, I should have switched it because I think I used the same side. Oops. But this is a different foundation, and I'm finding the same thing. I feel like on this side, well, you can see that my pores, I feel like you can see the pores a little bit more than you can on the Blendiful side. Both sides seem pretty similar. You know, I do think that this side, the pores are a little bit less. So let's see if you wanted to build this up, what happens. I have dry skin, so usually I can't really build up foundations because then they just get too cakey and drying. So let's see what happens. And as you can probably guess, the first product that they launched was nail enamel, since that was what his background was in. And he was the one who is credited with coming up with the trend of matching your lipsticks to your nails color. And in 1940, he released a red lipstick. So when I build that up, you can build it up. On my skin, it is starting to look a little cakey right here and in my chin, which those are pretty much my problem areas in my forehead. Putting the same amount. And let's see, I know some people said if you pat it, it took off their foundation. So let me see if I pat it in. It doesn't seem to be removing it. So it does give a little bit more coverage, but I would say if you have dry skin, I wouldn't purchase this thinking that you're gonna build it up. If you have oily skin, you might be able to. And yeah, you can build it a little bit. It does cover my skin a little bit. I would probably categorize this as a light to medium finish because you can still see your skin through it a little bit, but it does kind of finish everything and it does cover up. I had some redness so on my chin and everything, so it does cover that up. Actually, I think I need to blend this out a little bit more down here. So overall, I like it. Even with the 2 layers, it doesn't feel heavy on my skin. So yeah, okay, I like that. So I'm gonna finish my face, then I'll come back, kind of finish up the story of Revlon and see how it wears for a little bit. So here is my finished look. I added blush, highlight, powder, and of course did my eyes. If you want to see how I made this eye look work, that video will be coming up talking about Revlon. And just to kind of let you know, I've had this on for about a half hour now while I was finishing my eyes and kind of got to chit-chatting. So here's like a half hour in, still looking good. Okay, so I had finished off by saying that in 1940 he released his red lipstick. In 1970 he released a perfume called Charlie. I will put up an ad on the screen and some old advertisements that I found. I just love looking at them. He's said to have named the perfume after himself. His name is Charles, and so he, you know, named it Charlie. And in 1990, the Color Stay line was introduced, which is still one of their most popular lines to date. And from what I read, it sounds like he could kind of be a tough person to work for, had very, you know, high standards, and it kind of reminded me, I did not read Steve Jobs' biography or anything, but as I was reading through, it kind of reminded me, as they were talking about what type of boss he was and stuff, of things that I've heard about Steve Jobs. First impression on this Revlon Photo Ready, I do like it, but I have the NYX that is kind of a similar formulation and it kind of feels similar. On first impressions, I think I like the NYX a little bit better, but these are very, very close. It seems like they both, neither one you can kind of feel on your skin, and I feel like they both give a good finish. So we will see how it wears. Your skin is gonna kind of show through, but so far I like it. So I will check in a little bit and see how it wears. Okay, so I just wanted to check in. I have been wearing this about 7 hours and I think that it's still looking pretty good as far as how the foundation, my highlighters are really looking good, but that's not what we're talking about today. Let me look up close here. Lipstick's kind of moved and migrated here, but it has started to settle into my fine lines. Definitely into my forehead fine lines. And it's looking a little dry over here. This is from my glasses that you're seeing right there. And it started to kind of wear off on my nose and a little bit on my chin. So I would say you probably could get like a good 5 to 6 hours out of it, and probably between 6 and 7 hours it's gonna start wearing off. But overall, I think I didn't use a setting spray, so it probably would last a little bit longer if you did wear a setting spray. And like I said, it's just kind of settling into my fine lines. But so overall, a pretty good foundation. I definitely will use it more. It does feel, like I said, I don't think you'd really want to build it up if you have dry skin, because it definitely is really settling into my fine lines after this long of wearing. But overall, it still feels lightweight. I still don't feel like I'm wearing anything. But yeah, for dry skin, I would say probably 5 to 6 hours you're gonna get out of it. Let me know down below if you have tried this foundation and what you think of it and what your experiences were. Thanks for watching. See you next time.